This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, the time being 4:46 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting of February 17th, 2022 to order. Just to show for the record that 4 selectmen are here. Selectman Jessman is absent today. Also present is the town administrator, Jeannie Forrester, and the town finance IT director, Tim Pearson, along with 2 guests, Jason Stock and Sean Goodman. Before we get started, if you are joining us virtually, please mute your microphone during the meeting unless you wish to speak. Otherwise, background noise will interfere with the meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Bring the minutes of our February 3rd meeting for discussion.
There's one.
It didn't say what time I joined the meeting. I just appeared. Oh, there it is. Sorry.
On the last page, under other, I think you might want to check to whether or not it was actually said, but as Mr. Davis questioned why the board sets the salary rate for the town clerk, tax collector position. I think it, my recollection, I think it was votes. We don't set the town clerk tax collector rate. That's given to. Okay, but we don't set the town clerk tax collector's rate. That's given to us. And then it's sort of like a pass through. We vote on the budget so that it gets to town meeting. That's what we do.
But I think that is what it said.
Can we just double check? Yeah. Thanks.
So Tim was whispering in my ear that you have, sorry about that, but warrant, he wants to get the warrant signed as soon as possible so we can get that.
It's down there.
It's here.
All right, I will ask Gail to check that.
I think there was some discussion on it. If that's what was said, that's fine, but I think that I'll just, under my report, I'll just reiterate that that's not what we do, so that it can at least be in the minutes this week.
Do we need to wait for the confirmation of that before we approve it or no?
No.
Okay. Any other notes, changes, corrections, comments? I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of February 3rd as corrected.
Second.
Motion and second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion passes. I'd like to make a motion to accept a $2,500 donation from Walmart for economic development activities.
Second.
Motion and a second discussion. Is it just a straight $2,500 donation, Jenny?
Yes, and I think I might have mentioned this to you before. This was a grant application that Officer Murray made on behalf of the town.
I do recall that. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Motion passes. Thank you very much to Walmart for the generous donation to our economic development. Next up, Jason Stock and Sean Goodwin from the Winnisquam Regional School District. They're here to discuss the Winnisquam Regional School District bond projects. They're going to give us a little presentation.
Dog and pony show.
Dog and pony show, and then they'll be available for questions. So if you guys would like to share this table here, just because there's a microphone there and everything goes into the record.
And I also want to mention, we have the chairman of the budget committee, Nina Gardner, with us. And Nina, you're welcome to join us. This is like being back in the State House, the hot seat, the proverbial hot seat. Thank you. First off, thank you all for taking the time. And I know you guys are busy with town meeting approaching and you have a ton of business that you need to do.
We're kind of turn that a little bit just towards you, just because it needs to be recorded.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you. And I know you're busy with getting ready for town meeting. We're doing the same with respect to the annual district meeting. And we wanted to come tonight and just give you an update on two bond projects. There's been a lot of talk about buildings and closures, and we wanted to give you an update on where we are, a brief update on how we got here, and then what we're proposing. Thank you, Jeannie, for passing that out. So this is, I'm going to talk about, one is a capital improvement project, that's bond number one, and the second is the Career and Technical Education Center, and that's bond number two. And I'm going to speak to the second one, and then Sean will speak to the first one. So we're going to kind of go a little bit backwards in terms of the presentation. But again, we wanted to give you an update on kind of where we are, how we got here, and also the obvious question, so why two bonds and not just one? To answer that question out of the gate, the capital improvement bond number, or excuse me, the Career and Technical Education Center, the bond number two, that particular bond is linked with state funding, and so for that reason, because of the funding sources, we were not able to bundle these. And on advice from our attorney, they said, look, you can't legally bundle these because of where the dollars come from. You have to do two separate bonds. Believe me, I would have preferred a much simpler warrant with just one bond, but this is the case. So what we're looking at, it's $9.25 million is the bond. And that's the total dollar amount for the project. And what we're looking at and what we will be applying to for the state is a match. It depends on how that comes out of the state process. It could be a 50-50 or as much as a 70-30 match from the state. The way our CTE center is established is, and Nina can correct me because she was here when it was established. When it was established, the state was establishing these career and technical centers, and we were selected as one of them. We're called Area 8, so that includes Laconia, and we're a magnet for this lower, I'll call it Southern Lakes region. And what we've looked at is, and what happens is there's a cycle. I believe it's a 10-year cycle that if you're going to do an improvement to the project, you have this rotation, and your number comes up, and they'll say, all right, where do you stand? What do you want to do? And we passed on the last one, And what we're looking at is we're looking at this next cycle, and we've said we have two existing programs, the animal and plant science and natural resources. Both of those have kind of plateaued. The animal and plant sciences, that is full. The natural resources there's some room for growth there. We look at the building, we look at our facilities, and we say, all right, just to maintain those, we know that we have some capital needs to maintain the building and those facilities. And what we were pushed and asked to is, what about expanding those? And so what we've done, and this was a process, we didn't just throw a dart and say, hey, let's do, and the two are precision manufacturing. For us older folks, tool and die is what we used to call it. It's precision manufacturing and cosmetology. And how we came to those was a rather involved process involving the state, looking at what's being offered, and also looking at jobs and career opportunities out the back end. And I want to really emphasize is that what we're trying to do with this project, we're trying to, enhance what we have now, but secondly, we're trying to expand the opportunities for our students, and at the same time kind of augment our existing science and math curriculum. When you think of tool and die or precision manufacturing, that's all about math, science. And so we have a great opportunity here, great opportunity to try and do that work, enhance what we have, and at the same time expand it to those two other programs. So the first slide talks about that, modernizing it, taking care of the, kind of, and doing some of the work within the facility and updating it. Slide 2 talks about, gets into the dollars. Like I said, there's a state match, and they will provide 50 to 75% depending on how it comes out of the capital budget. Why we're talking about this now is the way the process works. We have to put a plan together. We have to vote on it at district meeting, and it's only at that point that then we can go and say, all right, state legislature, because they're starting their budget process. They'll be starting their budget process this summer and starting their capital process, and we'll get into the queue with that. Right now, there's another school, Newport is also looking at a CTE project. They typically fund 2, and so we're one of 2. We think we have a strong proposal. We've been working closely with the folks at the DOE and working on this. And so this is this is kind of our attempt to try and expand our offerings and provide some diversity of our offerings. As we know from we look at our graduation rates, we look at our student placement, and one of the real emerging moves, and all of us know it, if anyone's hired a plumber recently or talked to someone that's driving truck, we all know the trades, that's where there's a lot of demand for workers there. And so this is an opportunity to kind of create that platform. We've already started to have conversations with folks such as Freudenberg and others about looking at this program as a way to feed those through a certification program. So you come out of here, you would have a certificate of aptitude that you can do such and such. Likewise, Empire State Beauty School, we're already looking at an articulation agreement with them. And so there's some real opportunities here, and we think it's neat at a lot of levels. Education, also at the same time interacting and kind of getting more engaged with employers and folks in the community. There is a price tag to it, of course. We have to pick up that either 50 to 25%. One of the things that we're looking at, and we think also makes this kind of a good opportunity, is that right now interest rates are pretty favorable. Who knows where they're going to happen, where they're going to go. I think if I knew that, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd probably be sitting on Wall Street making a lot more money. But right now, when we talk to when we talk to bond counsel and when we're talking to others, they're telling us, now is a favorable time and an opportunity to lock into this. On our website, you can see schematics and beautiful artist renditions and architectural drawings. And if you'd like, I can send you the link and you can pass that along. But for the sake of time today, I didn't want to get into showing you kind of, elevations of it and all. We wanted to just kind of give you an update on where we are, what we're doing, and why we're doing it. As I mentioned, the timing is important given the legislative cycle. If we said, well, let's not do it this year, there's another 2 schools already queued up for the next budget cycle. And there's no guarantee that this program would continue on beyond that. So you lose, this is kind of a window of opportunity that we felt is really worth seizing. And so we've spent a lot of time on this. Nina, who sits on the advisory committee, I don't know if you want to add anything?
I'd just like to add one thing, and that is we've had a professional architect and engineering firm. The money was appropriated at the last annual district meeting to get us to the stage that we have really important conceptual information and good costing of what the project is going to cost. We are, by the architects who worked on CTE centers around the state, the LaValle Bressinger firm, and our architect is Lance Whitehead. He's had a lot of experience with this, and they know what items the state will cover and what they won't cover. It does look like we should be in line for 70%. The max is 75. There are items that are not included in this, and so we would have to pick out certain portions of it. One thing that Jason didn't say is if we do not do this, we are still facing about $1.4 million worth of sort of long-term systemic repairs that need to happen in the building, HVAC, heating systems, that kind of stuff. We get that as part of this project so that, our share is a couple of $1 million, but 1.4 million of that could be offset. We don't,
Well, I'm just going to have you speak into the microphone.
okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
I need to do that all over again. I'll come close.
Synopsis.
Yeah, synopsis.
We have the opportunity to leverage this state money. Do I make this worth by standing? No, sit.
Yeah.
Got it. Jeannie. When you say sit, I sit. I remember you. I remember her.
Jeannie has a bunch of dogs. I've
We know
seen the
what they
pictures.
say,
I know
sit,
the
we sit.
command.
The project has an opportunity to leverage this state money. And because we've had architects and engineers involved, we've got really good cost estimates. We have a strong sense that about 70% will be covered by the state. So, and so that is a very important draw for me personally, that the state will pick up that share potentially. The bond costs about 50 to 70 because we needed the wiggle room in terms of having the bond go. This project takes a 60% vote. And I think the other piece of this is if we don't do this, the programs at the Ag Center need some invigoration, and that's part of what this is. There's no sense that we're going to do away with them, but the program needs to be modernized. It needs the influx of more programming, and that's what this does. I've been involved with the Voc Ag Center since the night I accepted $700,000 in the state of New Hampshire because they needed to do something with the Area 8 Ag program. We took the money and got the center. This is a sort of a similar project in that Laconia wanted to do cosmetology. They couldn't do it because they didn't have space when they were renovating up there for the Area 8 program. And so it was a natural fit to slide it down to us. I think it's one of the programs that people kind of wince at and say, why? What we know is that they did the program in Salem and it's been full since the day they started it.
Right.
So that's really all I want to say on this, except that I think it's an opportunity. And if we don't pursue the opportunity, we don't have a chance to get these expanded programs. I don't believe the district could afford to advance them, period. I don't think we would have the money to develop those programs on our own.
We don't.
We really don't.
And
I can tell you that.
we have, as a board, we have said that this project is contingent on the state, the state matching it, that the state is involved. we're not going to try and saddle the taxpayers with a full-blown project. We didn't feel that was prudent. We thought, let's take advantage of this opportunity. And part of the a big part appeal to this, excuse me, is the fact that we have the state. And if you listen to the Commissioner Edelblut, he's all about careers. He's all about career training. So I think there's I'll call it an alignment with the Department of Education and kind of where their head is these days on kind of futures for students. So in the interest of time, happy to answer any questions. And of course, we can always come back if you would like, but I don't want to, I know we have 30 minutes. So
I just want to understand one thing. So they'll probably pick up around 70%. So our portion would be around $2 million, a little bit over
2.6,
2.6 or 7.
Yeah.
But we're going to end up spending $1.5 million on capital improvements anyway if this doesn't go through,
We will
correct?
have to. I don't know
We
when.
will have
We
to.
will have to at some
We will
point.
have to at some point.
Correct.
So we're looking at spending a little bit more than $1 million on, okay. I just want to wrap my head around that one.
And part of the reason we're here is because long-term, we're going to need support from the boards of selectmen when it's in the legislature. So if it gets voted in March, we need to go back down to the committees in Concord to make sure they see community support for these programs.
As you look, or your knowledge of the other CTE centers in the state, whether it's Hewitt or Newport, are there any other holes in terms of programming that are out there that we might be able to fill here in the future to be able to do that?
So that's a great question. Last night we had our public hearing and someone asked, how did you pick these? And so there's a list of opportunities or of careers, and you go down and they're rated, and they're rated by job opportunities, but also income potential. And so you kind of go down the list, and these were, and the other caveat in all of this is we can't put in a program that would compete with Hewitt.
Correct.
Yeah,
I know
so
that.
we go down the list and we say, all right, Hewitt has this, we can't do this, and these were two of the top picks. So there were others, but what we said is, given our space and given what we have, we did look really hard at diesel mechanics.
Mhm.
I thought that was pretty cool just because of the career I'm in, because of the people I deal with, but we didn't have the space. Diesel mechanics is big and you need a lot of space, a lot of equipment for it. And it just didn't fit mechanically. Precision manufacturing did, as did cosmetology.
So, and as you've acknowledged, we're in a good area for precision manufacturing, whether it's New Hampshire ball bearing, whether it's Freudenberg Knock, et cetera. And I'm glad to hear that there's an idea about partnership there. And looking at equipping, as I started to think, looking at equipping,
Yeah.
thinking about
Those conversations are already
thinking about what they might be having coming offline and how purposeful it might be, and could it be purposeful in going in here and reducing costs too.
In the world that I am in the forestry world, and Caterpillar or John Deere, they love nothing more than to have a young man or woman learn how to operate their machine, because at some point they're going to want to buy a machine. And if this is the machine I learned on, I know where all the knobs and buttons are, and so we've already had those conversations about, donations of equipment, because if I'm Freudenberg and I have XYZ lathe or whatever, I'd like to have that young man or woman learn on that particular lathe so that it's a seamless transition when they come and work on the floor of my plant.
Or even when they are graduation, this equipment that you use on is, right over there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't have to leave to go down to Nashua to go use it, or Manchester.
Exactly.
or
Jobs
whatever.
stay right here.
Right.
Keep the jobs here, keep the people here.
Exactly. Keep the young people.
Yes.
And these
That's
are,
a big challenge.
as we all know,
It's a
these
big
are
challenge.
very good paying jobs.
Well, and the cosmetology, I work out across the street from Empire Beauty School, and their current classes are full. I look across and every chair is taken by young women or young men who are working to do that stuff, the esthetician piece, et cetera. So.
Again, out of the time, we're going to Yeah, sorry, don't want to.
No, no, Savage.
Yourself.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
We're going to shift now to kind of an important but not quite as glamorous topic. We're going to let Sean cover that. But we have some capital needs, and this is in your packet, Article 1, talking about some capital needs and some of the strategy around why we're doing this and how we kind of got here. So, Sean.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. So I'm Sean Goodwin. I'm your Sandmerton School Board member, and I'm the current chairman of the Capital Improvement Committee. We've been a very busy committee over a number of years. We first started this current conversation back in 2014, looking at our long-range planning, looking at our health of facilities. That, as you've been following along, obviously evolved into us doing some enrollment studies and making a decision to move from five schools to 4 with the closing of Union in this coming fall. Along with that, we have the rest of our buildings to take care of. And as we started to do the analysis of systems and make sure that the remaining buildings were viable, particularly with the middle school, there was some initial concerns. The building was built in 1972 for a very economic price, as you can
$700,000.
speak to. And we wanted to make sure that as we kind of compressed our footprint, that the building was viable enough to handle that stress. So we've done quite a bit of homework, some engineering and analysis. We've done scans on the roofs of all our low slope and zero slope roofs. They are end of life at the moment, or beyond end of life. They are holding moisture. Different places, we are having moisture seep into different parts of these buildings. I can show you a quick picture of what the scans are looking like. These are on our website, but the bright colors are areas with the drone scans that show trap moisture. So we started to add up all of the elements that we knew we needed to take care of, and discussed it at the committee level and said, why don't we, at the time, we were still looking at putting an addition on Southwick to handle the closure of Union. So we were bundling all of these things together. We've completed now 3 enrollment reports, compared it with pre-COVID enrollment, and the enrollment data, both projected and realized, that does not justify the construction of additional space right now. So all of these other things have been on the table during that additional space conversation, but we were able to kind of consolidate this project to just make sure we're taking care of what we own. Now we have a capital improvement plan that we fund each year out of fund balance in the budget to handle large items, but not giant items. So with 180,000 square feet of low and zero slope roof across the 4 buildings, it's 3 buildings. It's a big project. That's about $5 million of the 8.7 bond request. We have other life safety issues, sprinklers at Sandmerton Central. It's our only building that is not currently sprinkled in the district. And we've also, for a number of years, as we've watched around the country, school security has been something that we've been focused on, but we haven't been able to execute a good plan to really make these entrances secure. So this bond adds a secure entry way to all of these buildings. Some of the buildings are easier to construct than others, but we feel we have a good plan to really prevent the public from accessing student spaces directly. And so that is part of this project as well. The last piece, if you drive around the middle school, you'll notice that the top half of the building is the corrugated metal. Behind that corrugated metal is some insulation when it was originally installed. But the quality of that is very much substandard. And so in the wintertime, especially on the gym side, you see that all of that ice build up. So the other big piece of this is about $1 million to peel off all of that in conjunction with the roof, because as we build out the insulation and the building envelope for better moisture control, better installation, we need to cover that additional space. So the skin and the roof kind of go hand in hand at the same time. But that will provide for better air quality, less moisture in the building, and more energy efficiency. So that is, as somebody said, it's not very exciting, but these are things that we can't walk away from. Again, the bond interest rates are very favorable right now. We have a 2% quote from the bond bank. It projects out over the 15-year period. The payments go down over time. If we try to fund this on our regular capital improvement planning, the cost of all these projects continue to escalate quite substantially. And over the course of the bond payments, if we were to do this piecemeal each year, which is very difficult to do, by the way, because we're going to have increased mobilization costs, and some years we're going to have to be a lot more than our current 450 or 500,000 expenditure. The work that needs to be done would cost us $6 million more estimated by the end of the bond period. So again, this committee has spent a lot of time coming up with this project. The timing is not great, but we feel it's in the best interest of the taxpayers to move this to take care of all these issues at the least possible cost and stabilize the tax rate.
I'd like to add, the other is, as Sean had mentioned, one of the things, we watch construction cost. We all know what construction costs are doing. Just go down to Home Depot or Lowe's and you'll feel it. So we've built into this, the construction cost, an allocation for the construction variability and construction cost. The other piece is by bundling these, you get some economies of scale. So that is, instead of doing piecemeal, or worse yet, doing it where you have an emergency. Oh my God, we've got this problem. We've got, the roof is given out, or, and then you're truly at the mercy of the contractor. We thought this was fiscally and operationally the prudent way to go. I've been asked, I had this conversation in Northfield last week. They said, well, haven't you been taking care of the roofs now? Why are you here? And we have been taking care of roofs. If you've noticed, all our sloped roofs have metal on them. We've replaced all those. One of the things we have been doing is trying to figure out the Union Sanborn question. And when we got our last demographic study in October, that really answered that question about enrollment. We all thought we'd see a bump. The enrollment study says, no, you're going to continue to see it. So it was at that point that we said, all right, that piece is off the game board. We focus on the other buildings and try to take advantage of this, bundling these at the same time, the interest rate. And again, we've run numbers and spreadsheets and looking at net present value, and Nina cringes when I talk about net present value, but you guys get it. When you look at net present value, I mean, these aren't kind of wish list projects. You gotta fix your roof at some point. And when we look at this in the context of net present value, it makes sense operationally and fiscally to do it. And from a tax stability point, so that we don't have to go a couple years low capital, and then all of a sudden come in and say we need $2 million to fix this now. And so this is kind of an opportunity to try to keep some stability there. So we'd be happy to, again, we've used our 31 minutes at this point, but be happy to answer questions. And again, Sean, as Sean said, you could see all kinds of pictures of roofs and corrugated sides. He failed to mention that there are a lot of critters like to get inside that building as well, be it bees, bats, and birds. So there's that issue as well, so.
Pat?
I had a real quick question. I didn't hear it answered. Going forward, the plan, and I get the urgency of this one, and I get bundling it and interest and all of that. Going forward, do you have a plan, or is there a plan in place to stagger so that it doesn't come up? I mean, you're doing 4 roofs or 3 roofs, and so in 30 years, 3 roofs are going to come up again. And that's a big chunk out of the taxpayers' money again in 30 years. Is there a plan to stagger that so that it doesn't come up again in a big chunk?
I think there certainly could be. And I think you'd take, we're actually looking at a 40-year product, which wasn't available when we were doing the metal roofs 10 years ago. And so I think in a way to stagger it, you'd pick one of them, do it a little sooner than you'd have to, or the one that gets the most exposure, and try to stagger it that way.
I suspect you're asking a question about the capital reserve fund.
Right.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's going to need to happen is whether this project passes or not, there needs to be a further assessment of whether we're putting aside an adequate amount of money.
Right.
And the balance of how we do this, of course, is we use unassigned fund balance. And so the first, as you vote on it at annual district meeting, we ask you for the first $450,000 of unassigned fund balance that you vote to let us have to put into that fund. That may not be enough to meet kind of bigger cost items. It was upped from 250 to 450 when they did the metal roofs. It may be time to reassess what that amount of use of unassigned fund balance is to do this purpose. But the other piece that I talk about is that unassigned fund balance is also the thing that helps reduce taxes. And we are the people that brought you $1.90 worth of reduction in the school side last year because we gave you back all of the unassigned fund balance. We don't have authority to do anything else but to give it back to you. Maybe that's part of the equation in the future, that we ask the district to give the school district authority to hold some of that money back. But as the chairman of the budget committee, I'm the lady who sits and looks at tax rates a lot in 3 towns. And so it is going to be that question of how to find the right balance of what we need to be putting away for some of these cost items.
Why not have an extra warrant article to say, put $50,000 extra each year or $100,000 extra each year to capital reserve facilities, repairs and things like that. I mean, we buy 3 cruises this year, and 5 years from now, we're going to be buying 3 cruises, and that's a big chunk. Instead, we try to stagger.
We stagger them in Semerton. I'm on
Right,
this.
and so you get where I'm coming from.
I do.
But we also, in highways and bridges and things like that, we stagger and we have a capital reserve fund. I mean, the question's going to come up because I see it on social media, and that's about all we've seen lately is the school on social media. But to my point is that perhaps maybe we need to look at it a little bit differently.
I think we do.
And
I could say
see
that
in the future, come up with a future plan, and perhaps maybe if you develop that before school board meeting, it's the annual meeting, that it could go a little bit easier on a big chunk of,
Thank you.
$8 million.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah.
So Mr. Goodwin knows this. I have spent an extensive amount of time going in and out of school buildings in the district because I am now on my 17th year of having a student in the district.
Congratulations.
So, and my last year, thank you. I will be pulling out of the middle school and be very happy in June.
I understand that too.
So, but as I look at it, and just a few, and the specifics may be on the website, but when we're looking at the secure entries, and I've always thought that's, I enter the building, like if someone else entered the building, they can go directly to anywhere that they would want to. Are on most of these, are they looking at an interior alteration in terms of access and then walling off and then only being able to access offices, et cetera. Okay.
Yep.
Question about and you may or may not know, question about the Southwick School parking lot piece where I see that you're going to be expanding parking. Because I've been on that piece of property many, many times. I'm hoping that there will be the obvious examination of what the possible effects for the wetlands can be, because there are significant wetlands that surround that property. I was just there the other day, but altering those parking lots and altering that drainage is something that could definitely affect that. So, and as you know, that can bring up expense issues too. So just from my view, and I was over on the property the other day, that's one too.
Our facilities directors looked at the kind of the apron around the school with some different options. Currently, the best option is adding, if you come into the property,
Yep.
turn left in the parking lot, add another row in front of where the pavement ends right now.
Yeah, so where the fence is up to where the place with Bert Southwick's thing is, so in that grass area
Yes.
up to where the fence is.
Yes.
Okay, good, that
And
makes
then,
sense.
the other piece that needs to happen is if you've driven around the backside of the building, that pavement is just crumbling apart. It will get more traffic with more cars, and so that piece needs to be
Yeah.
addressed as well.
Yeah, I had my 15-and-a-half-year-old working on driving in that section the other day. That's why I was there. So, so thank you.
Yeah, I just have one question. Being familiar, I'm in the hotel industry, and I know of a hotel currently under construction, which just, I don't know what the right word is, but they are looking at things and they just they realize now that their cost to build the building, this is from scratch, from the ground up, has gone up $750,000 since they started the project in, we'll say late summer. So what, if this happens, because obviously this is a not to exceed amount, what goes if you can't?
Can I speak to the CTE? They built in, we adjusted the cost estimate in January. And they built in an escalator of, I believe, 16%.
Was this, I'm talking about on the capital improvement.
Okay, the capital improvement on the CTE
Yeah.
thing, we've covered it with an escalator. Because we're aware of the fact we're not going to be constructing right away and inflation is just going to keep coming. So we've dealt with it on that bond.
Well, I'm looking at things like, okay, roofs and pavement all involve oil products. And the cost of oil, if you look across the street, has gone up significantly. So what's your plan to, what goes if you?
So this was asked last night, and I think our facilities director, Rob, answered it well in that, we had budgeted numbers looking at, possible contingencies. And if the prices are too high in, say, July, we're gonna hold off till we get closer to the pricing that we need, or revisit the design scope of what we had planned. I can tell you that there's been a lot of contact with the prospective vendors to get as accurate pricing as possible, so that we don't run into this problem.
Serve on another board, there's some people in the district that don't like contingency plans, so.
I know.
They shall remain nameless, but I'm sure you know who they are. So,
And some people don't like bonds.
well,
You know.
I get it, but when I heard all of this, I checked all the cushions on my couch and
And some people
came
don't
up short.
like.
And I think one of the things we're all, just in summation, I want to say is the budget piece. I think we're all very aware of what this looks like and what it feels like to taxpayers. And I said that last night. And if it feels bad here, you have no idea how bad it feels in Northfield. It's a really heavy lift for them, for schools generally. And that's a problem none of us can solve for them. But there's a reality to that. And that's where I think we're all aware of it. Candidly, very aware of it.
Well, thank you very much for all your time and effort into this. And it was for me, it was very informative because I haven't paid very
Me
close
too.
attention because this is my first year with a child not in the school district. And I'm
Very
taking the year off.
Right.
Taking the year off, so.
Javelin thrower, right?
Right.
All right.
If you do go to the district's website, on that front banner, there is a capital improvement section. There are a number of documents, pictures, diagrams, and things like
Listen,
that.
I went on that website last night to try to get in on your meeting last night. I couldn't get in. I could not get in for the life of me last night. So I'm hoping they're gonna,
Probably a lot of traffic.
hopefully I will, and I'll be here in person.
In terms of the documents, it's easy to access. I've been out
Couldn't
there in
make
the
it
last
last night. I
couple
tried to
of
get
days.
in on.
Okay. One of the last things we should say is whoever comes to the meeting determines what happens. And so it's really important for people
Yeah.
to show up however they feel about it, you
Yes.
know?
Mhm.
I win and lose easily.
If you don't-
I
if you don't vote, you can't complain.
that's right. And if you don't vote, you can't get what you need or don't need. So that's sort of the message. Thank you.
Thank you.
very
When-
much.
When is the meeting? You got to say
March
the number.
19th.
March
We've got the-
19th.
March 19th,
March 19th is the school district meeting at Waterstown Regional High
midnight.
School.
Bring
9 a.m.
snacks.
I think so.
All right. Jeannie, is there 5:30 guests?
I just texted her.
Okay.
Who's the 5:40? Oh,
Town clerk, tax collector.
I know her.
Give her, did she respond? She coming up?
I hear her.
I hear, well, are they going up? Oh, it's another person coming up. Hey, Kevin, guess what? It's not snowing.
Oh, yeah, and you just
Yeah.
text us.
No, maybe tomorrow, but today, Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah, tomorrow we will be.
We could use a little rain, though. I'll take some rain.
Wash that salt off.
Mhm.
Has it been a harsh year on salt? Have you used a lot? Nope.
Why do you keep
Just on
asking
Maple
questions
Court.
to set him up for pain and suffering over the next few
No,
weeks?
you guys do stuff that I don't understand.
Are you jinxing him?
No, I haven't. I've asked it before. It doesn't make sense.
So please don't,
I won't.
especially on Maple Court.
Yeah, Selectman Constantino doesn't need any more bouts with ice.
Nor does my
No.
daughter.
Please.
Nor does my daughter, but hers was in Groton, Mass, so you're off the hook.
Mine was in Guilford.
Off the hook
You're off the
again.
hook on there too. Guilford Elementary. Hello?
It has been a tough year for it.
Yeah,
Oh,
sure is.
Should I move the agenda around here? It's 5:33. Oh, there she
Oh,
is.
yeah.
Wow, that was like the quietest I've ever heard someone come up the stairs. What's
My
that
stealth sheet's on today.
like?
Okay, I'm gonna grab this and hand this out. My apologies. I should have put these in
Thank
your
you.
folders, and I didn't realize until
Thank you.
today driving to the bank that I should have put these in the folders. Jeannie asked, and I said, I'll hand them out. So it's very simple.
See one for Joe.
I have one for Joe.
Right here.
That is him? Okay, perfect. What I would like to do is we're getting ready for preparing the year for leaning and deeding. I sent you my schedule, so we're all set. What that involves is having
Just
a
go turn the
company.
microphone towards you more, sorry. Oh, no, just turn the microphone.
Just turn it towards your mouth.
Physically turn it. You don't have to move. There you go.
Okay, what this means, every year, we have a company do deeding research for us. The past 3 or 4 years, Cindy has used Total Notice, and they've been fantastic. Last year was different. They had some difficulties, illness with the owner, and the research was not done in a timely fashion. She was scrambling. And I was all set to use them again. But then I thought about it, and I knew that there's a new company that started last fall, Newfound, and Patty from Avatar, it is not her, it is members of her family. They started last fall, so I thought I'd research it. I contacted them. They've been very helpful. Bottom line, I think they'll be extremely efficient. They'll do as good a job as we've come to expect from elsewhere. And what you're going to find is this year it would be $20 per parcel if we were to stay with total notice. If we go with a new company, it's going to be $18 per parcel. So it's a bit of a savings. I think we will have excellent service. That's my proposal.
Where it says, you said $18, this is 20.
That's the second one. On the front,
On the
I
back
have,
page of the
Okay, got
page
it.
2.
on the front page is
Thank
the
you.
new company, my apologies, and the second page is the old one. And I think I highlighted both, but that, I'm looking to change companies. I think we'll have excellent service. It'll save us $2 per parcel. I have the original here that requires signatures. And I can leave this with you folks to do that. And if you have any questions, I'll try and answer them, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory, and I'm sorry I didn't put it in your folders. Next time I will. I get the process.
How do you know if it's a not so good company? Will we not know until it's too late?
As far as total notice or as
No,
far as the new
If we go
one?
with the new person, if we go with this new company, how do we, when will you, in other words, how do you know that it's a good company?
I've already been asking them questions. They've been answering my questions.
Mhm.
They've asked for some upfront information, which I have given them, which I would have to give to total notice anyhow. Well, no, total notice provided it. So they've already hit the ground running.
Okay.
Kim, how long have they been in business, and do they have any other municipalities that they're servicing?
They've been in business since last fall. I'm going to say October, and I don't know who they have signed up so
Okay.
far.
That was my next question, is do they have references?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That is a good question.
Because I went to Total Notice's website, and I believe, and because I'm dyslexic in my head,
I
either
understand.
60 or 80 communities that they work with in the town, in the state of New
In the
Hampshire.
state of New Hampshire, right.
And so I don't know how many towns there are, but that seems like a fair number.
Mhm.
But then, based on what you said earlier, is that too much?
Does it stretch them too
Does that
thin?
stretch them too thin?
Yeah.
That, I don't know if it stretches them too thin. My concern with it is not so much that per se, is the main person who understood and did the business became very ill, and so the rest of the family was scrambling to keep up. And as it turns out, the gentleman did pass away last fall. And
So do they still exist?
they still exist,
Okay.
the wife and other family members.
But as you said, it was rough, or everything
Last year it
behind
was. Last year it was, and they weren't entirely forthcoming with what was going on.
Okay.
And finally they said, well, he's been sick. Well, this and that. And so it was just a series of events that, you know, I was going all set to do it again, but then I thought, you know what, I want to look into alternatives. I've got enough going on that if I can count on somebody else, it'll be right there
How often do you use a company like this?
once a year.
Okay. And that's usually just around the deeding time,
Mhm.
June, July, whatever,
There's research that they do and provide to us and helps us with the process.
in the June, July area, right? Do you use them in December? You already said
No, it's
December.
earlier. It's not going to be in September. It's going to be earlier than that.
Okay.
Once we lean, I'll send them the first batch of information.
Got it.
And that, I believe, is March 25th. I didn't bring my schedule up with me, but I believe
Well, we
that's
got
in
it
March.
here.
What's that?
I mean, we got that schedule here,
Right.
I think. Yeah. March 25th,
Mhm.
noon certified.
Yep.
Jeannie?
Kim,
Yes.
do you have a copy of their insurance binder?
I do not yet, no. I can get that for you.
And I'm just curious, if you do this once a year, so you're talking about $2. I'm just curious, what is the total savings you anticipate by going to this?
The best I could do is take last year's figures and and take $2 off per parcel. I could approximate it that way, but I don't know yet how many we're going to be leaning and deeding this year compared to last or other years. I haven't a clue.
Do you know what you did last year?
I can get that. I didn't bring that up with me. All I brought was this information.
If you, are you talking about what's on the list? What was on the list with Cindy's, Jeannie? What was on the
I
list?
was just trying to understand.
It was like 10 on the list.
So
That would be deeding, right? Not leaning.
Uh,
Am I right?
Getting ready for leaning, getting
Okay.
ready for deeding, I mean.
Getting ready for deeding, right.
I
Right.
was just curious what,
Mhm.
to make the change, what are you anticipating savings?
Mhm.
That's a good question.
That's a good question. What I can do with these things is I can go down and get this together and email it to all of you.
So we'd also like to do references, if you
Right.
could, see how many, contact the company, and I think this is what I hear from the board, see what other towns they serve.
Mhm.
I think that would be important information too.
Mhm.
If they're all, if we're the first and, one and only one.
Mhm.
But, then again, how much problems do you anticipate with the one that we've been using? How long have we been using total?
I believe it's 4
remember?
years.
4 years.
Mhm.
Okay.
And if they are fresh on the scene, I think, if they don't have a number of municipalities signed on, I would say sort of the background, the employees that they have in their experience and with other companies too, would allow sort of my brain to say, okay, these are
Gotcha.
people who've done this for a number
Gotcha.
of years. So it's not, it's not John and I just hopping in and going to do
We
it.
have
which would be
50
scary, which would
years
be very
experience
scary.
with our
So-
employees.
Mhm. Right,
That
right.
type of thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
just a little bit more background on it. I think.
Nope.
Like a resume.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so if I hear you correctly, you're going to want to understand their background. You're going to want to see what their insurance coverage is. What other municipalities do they have? And Jeannie asked for an approximate as far as how much we might save going to this company.
Correct.
Perfect.
Over the last few years, last year is going to be different from the year before. So
Right.
I would like to see it last few years get an average.
Okay.
Right.
Not a problem.
Super.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Oh, no, you're welcome.
Sounds good.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, then, just a quick update. I'm going to take 2 seconds of your time. We have received our ballots. Oh, they've come back for us. They've come back for the school. We're waiting for the fire district. Becky and I are doing weekly webinars on voting issues. And other than that, Jeannie, I'm meeting with you, I believe, next week with Becky's 90-day review. Okay, you've had a busy day today too. My apologies. Anyways, that's it. If you don't have any other questions for me, I will get that information for you.
Sounds
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.
Have a good night. You too.
With the peanut butter.
Next up is Craig Wiseman from the Winnisquam Market, discussion about parking and striping, not what I just read. My eyes are, it was dripping, but I don't think they're gonna be.
This platform.
Okay.
No, it's
No,
not.
we're not rezoning.
No, we're not rezoning
Good evening, everyone.
it. Actually, it would probably invite Kevin to be closer just because of, I'm sure that he's gonna be involved in this discussion at some
Just
point.
in case.
Just in case. You can still keep your back to the camera
So,
or sit next to Gene.
so there was discussion the last time. Good evening, by the way.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you guys?
Hi. Good, great. Everybody know Doug
Mhm.
Rollins?
Sure.
Great. So, is that bad? Okay. So,
Congratulations.
I told you you shouldn't have come.
Refuse to answer. Take the-
Congratulations on selling the Lucky Bee.
Oh, thank you. That was
Yeah.
really exciting. It was so exciting. That
Did they
was-
catch it in Winnisquam?
They did.
Yeah.
She did. And it was her like first day fishing as well.
Chuck Roberts on too, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
And it was,
Hi, Chuck Roberts.
so, and it was her first time fishing as well.
Oh,
So
nice.
Pretty exciting.
Never fished a day in her
No.
life.
Oh,
So
That's
the last couple of times we were talking about, the the two different groupings of, I believe we were all in agreement that putting a time limit was a good idea. So, and then we talked about, I think Pat was talking about, we even so we have two spots that are kind of the problem spots by the store. And then there are 4 or 5 spots that are more towards Lobster Connection, kind of between our two properties by the condos. That could be, so I think the conversation was an hour to the 4 or 5 spots seemed enough. And then in front of the store, a half an hour, 30 minutes was an appropriate time for people to come into the store, do whatever business they have to do, and then leave. And I think it's going to also help with congestion in that area. Now, Chuck and Laura and us had a lot of conversations about that corner, and so we discussed it, and I think they've reached out to you as well, that neither of us want to do any striping on because it's already confusing there. We've got the striping for the spots are working great, and now there's just, you have the 2 spots by the road that we're going to hopefully be able to get that 30-minute parking, and anything else there, I think would confuse it more than help it. And we all agreed that would be kind of what we'd like to do, is not have it striped. The only thing that Chuck and Lauren, we agreed, I think it would be a good thing. Right now they have a small sign by their drive, the end of the access to their property. They have a small sign that says, do not block driveway. They would like maybe a bigger, more official one there, and we have no problem with that. So
I think we had previously discussed fire lane, do not block.
Well, we did talk about that, and we did hear from the fire department that they didn't have any issue with it, but I think you've since changed your minds about that.
Well, I never wanted that, and I think Chuck and Laura kind of had, they were hoping that maybe was a good idea, and then after we discussed it, it would just make, because it's such a congested little area and there's not much room there, that all of us would prefer not having that, and then just having a sign by the end of their driveway that says, do not block driveway.
So you don't want the striping on the ground?
Correct.
What if it was, and I don't know the legalities of it, but what if it was a sign that said fire lane, do not block?
Yep. So fire lane, do not block driveway. Yeah, that's fine.
I don't know if legally, if you put that up, you then have to put striping down. I think that would be something to ask, but if that could be a solve, I mean, to me, as someone who was parked, if I see fire lane, do not block, that's going to be a little bit more impactful.
Right.
Because there are some folks out there who see do not block and they're still going to park there and block it.
Yeah.
So, but if they understand that it's a fire lane and there might be a legal issue in doing that, I think they'd be a little bit more hesitant.
Yeah.
So you don't really want to sign up above by the gate there, up along the fence, I mean, fire lane, because you kind of go in and out there.
Correct. Well, that's our right of way.
Right, and you don't want it, you want it in front of the driveway only.
If all we want is the sign, is for Chuck and Laura, we're fine.
Right.
And they're and they can speak to it as well. I mean, with the striping that's there now with the parking, it's been so much better.
Yeah.
And I think we haven't had really any issues. And so really, just so they're taken care of, a sign that's in front of their driveway, which you see when you pull into the thing, it's right there. They have a sign there now, but just the sign right there would be, do not block driveway, or whatever whatever official looking sign there that would help, that they would feel good about. I think we'll do it, and that, they can speak to it. But yeah, we don't want anything in terms of ours, because we use it and park there and, so forth. So, and it's our property.
And the tenants out back that use it.
Just the one, yeah.
Just the one.
That's right. So it's really, and I really appreciate, the select board looking at this for us, because it's really going to help. You have limited parking, and it's just gonna, and then, people they park all weekend, and, we have those 7 spots and 2 of them get taken. I mean, that's a large percentage of the total. So anyway, thank you for looking at that.
So we want to go in front of the store as 30-minute, correct? Is that what you want?
The
Or 1 hour?
one by the road in front of the store, there's 2 spots there.
Right, that's 30 minutes.
Oh, great. That would be, yeah. Thanks. Yeah, perfect. Yep, those 2 spots, right here.
Yep.
Probably right on this
Yep.
piece here, just a sign that says 30-minute parking.
Right.
And then on the other, the other ones, I think an hour would be more than appropriate for people to go
So
in.
just the ones that are in front of your store then,
For
correct?
30 minutes, yep. And then the other ones, you could put a couple and make these an hour parking.
Which are now currently 2 hours.
Are currently open. There's
Yeah,
no.
So what we found were people from the hotel down the
Right.
road were sending their patrons down because they were there for the week. And they were saying, oh, that's public parking. You can park your car down there for the week. And we'd have a couple of cars that would be there for 5, 6, 7 days. And then finally they
Here,
said,
yeah, here, and then in front of the store, we have them on almost every busy weekend. There's at least one spot taken all day.
So what about in front of where we own, in front of our property, the town's property, which used to be the little shack with
post office.
the post
Yeah.
office?
Yep, those
Yeah.
spots right there.
Yeah.
That's up to you guys. I mean, I'm very happy. I'm very happy having the 30 minutes here and the hour along here. But I mean, if you want to also put an hour in front of there, that would be great too. But that's up to you guys. All I was asking, or we were asking, were the 2 here and the row here.
So you had talked about initially the last time, it's 2-hour parking, but now you'd like.
Right.
1 hour.
Yep, I mean, we can do,
Thank you.
because I think in our conversations where we were talking about less is better, especially in front of the store, from the congestion standpoint, there's no reason anybody needs an hour to come in and, get a sub and go out.
Except that the seafood place uses that, and I understand that he's moving, but the seafood place uses that. And on a busy day, you can't get in there and out of there in an hour. You can't order your food
So you
on a
wanted to,
busy
so
day
how about this?
and get out of there in an hour.
Yeah.
And you're over limits
Well,
on that.
how about this? How about this then? How about in front of the store, still stay the 30 minutes because of the store turn? It's better. It's certainly better for us. And then along this road, do the 2 hour, like we originally talked about, the 2 hour here. All we really care about is the people that are deter the people that are just going to leave it there for the
Well,
week.
I get-
That's all. So
Well,
whether it's an hour or 2, it doesn't
No,
make a difference.
I get where you're going, and I think by the summer, I don't know what his plans are. I think we should contact him because my understanding is his plans are to be this summer over across
Yeah,
the
I would
street.
No, that's
call
not
him.
gonna
I don't
happen.
think
I
it's
mean,
gonna
we
happen.
lease to him, we own the Lobster Connection building. And so he's staying.
Okay, so maybe this summer,
He's still,
then
yeah.
I have a concern, only because we've been there when it's busy.
Yeah.
And, once we order,
Right.
and we've had friends come from out of state, we've gone there, and we can't,
You can't get in.
Right.
we can't get in and out under an hour.
But you know what, even
When
no
it's
matter what
busy.
happens, even if he leaves and there's another restaurant or we do something there, we're gonna have the same issue.
I
And
think
so the
so.
2 hours, I think, is very adequate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with
Yeah.
that.
But go the 30 minutes in front of your store in those 2 spaces
Yeah.
across from the,
Right, these 2 here.
yes.
Yep.
Go the 30 minutes there.
That would be super helpful
Right.
for us.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
This summer went really smooth.
It
We
did
didn't
go
have-
smooth.
I think it took people a while to learn the regimen, and then we went out and started self-policing it too a little bit
Yeah.
for Chuck and Laura.
Yeah,
So I don't think we had as many issues.
yeah.
So hopefully, I mean, I don't.
Yeah,
know.
I think it's been.
The
I think
truck
it's been
drivers
good.
are trained now.
Yeah, they're all,
to go.
everybody's
We go out
trained
and
now,
say,
where
"Hey,
to,
you
the
gotta
vendors,
move."
where to park, and it works,
So.
it's a little bit of of course, it's a crazy little area, but I think it's how you established the one-way, at one point, I think that really helped. And then the striping really helped, and I think everything now runs pretty smooth. And
Yeah.
then with the vendors being trained and everybody kind of collectively working at the problem, there isn't a problem.
And really, it's just about you know, if somebody stays there 5 minutes over, I don't think it's a big deal. It's just people coming down and parking there for a week.
Oh,
At
you
a
mean on the
time.
spots? there?
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely,
exactly.
absolutely.
You know.
So,
We actually asked a lady, we're like, how come you guys have been here for a week? Where did you go? Like, we're thinking, are they out on the lake, whatever? They were like 10 minutes down the road at another hotel, and the owner told them, yep, bring your car down there and park it.
Yeah, very inconsiderate.
And it was
That's-
there for a week.
Yeah.
Does the,
So,
do the,
just,
I can't read the name.
Chuck,
Roberts.
Chuck Roberts, are you on the line?
Yes, sir.
So I'm assuming you've heard what's been talked about. Are you okay with what's being discussed?
Yes,
Oh, that was.
Yes, we are. Laura's on speakerphone on my cell.
All right.
Okay.
So you guys are okay with what we're talking about?
we fully support it.
Okay,
Good.
that's what I need to hear. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Is,
I think the only
Go ahead. Oh, we lost you.
Quick comment, Laura. And I just, going back to the signage out front, we do like the idea. No lines on the road. I mean, that just makes a mess out front. But improved signage, whether you put do not block driveway, fire lane helps as well. But enforcement is a big deal too. You know, we all know the abusers. So if we call something in, we'd love it if, you know, there was some action.
hun, just the sign's good.
That's it.
Just
Thank you.
But I think that when we heard from Lieutenant Gilman and Chief Pizer at the time, they said signage is going to be the key to enforcement
I agree.
at the time.
Yeah.
So we got to get the signage up.
Yep.
Can we ask Kevin his opinion on what's going with this?
you okay, Kevin?
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with just keeping it as just the signage and not painting the stripes because it does add to the confusion.
yeah.
And I believe that a more, a larger sign that's kind of, that is like the other town signage will help people adhere to the parking.
Yeah.
Because it looks official.
Right.
So if we get it from the prison shop or wherever we get our other signage, especially downtown and throughout the town, it'll help uniform everything and keep everything legit.
And it'll be better for enforcement. Because
You're right.
And that
you
is
can't
true.
say, hey, you're not supposed to be there. Well, there's no.
You know what, I think it's going to handle the majority of I think most all people would have a hard, time then leaving their car there and thinking it was going to be okay to leave it there 7 or 8 hours with a sign that says 2 hours or 30 minutes. So I think that's going to solve a lot of that. And whether somebody's there for an hour and 15 minutes or 2 hours, I mean, that's, who cares? It's about them leaving it all weekend.
We actually dealt with that, with this situation on Main Street where the proper signage is key to the police being able to enforce the parking lots.
Right. Yep.
So that it all starts there.
Great, perfect.
Thank you. Yeah.
Make a motion.
Make a motion? Go ahead.
Can I see yours?
Absolutely. Please.
Do we,
Sure. Oops, sorry.
do we want to wait until Joe is here or?
Oh. Yeah, we're gonna wait till Joe's here.
Yeah, we'll just-
Much better.
Eric,
Yeah, John,
could you sketch it out so that whatever we approve is very clear, not just,
yeah.
could be a misunderstanding or.
Yep. How about right on the pictures?
Mhm.
Or even just like an overhead, like the
Yeah,
aerial
maybe
view.
Google- Maybe a Google Earth
Or
picture.
Google-
You can
Yep.
just circle
And then
2
just-
hour and then the.
Yeah.
Which
30.
ones?
I know which ones they are, but.
You
I know
know,
which one's it.
make them pink if they're gonna be 30 minutes, green if they're gonna be 2 hours, just so we at least have an official identification saying, well, the two spots in front of the gate. like,
Happy to do it, no problem, whatever you guys want.
It'll help
But are you-
Selectman Jessman too.
Well,
Yeah.
you think, but here, there's just the two. I mean, put a big marker that put 30 minutes on these, and then on this one, because it's all the pictures, it's all of them are right here, and put one over here, 2 hour. Are you okay with that, or you want the Google?
I mean, we could write it right on here, just put the time right
30
in the
minutes and then
square.
right
the parking
2 hour.
spot.
Yeah.
That
We
works.
got-
Whatever you
Yeah.
guys want. I'm
And
just saying
then,
it's all
and then
right
it's
here.
just in front of the store, so we're fine.
Because
Yeah.
because when you say in front of the store, you talk about like this.
Yep.
If I park my car,
These two spots,
no, no,
oh,
Not right up
Public
against the
spots, no.
building.
well, see, that's what I'm thinking, right in
Right,
front of your
yeah,
building.
no.
So that's where I'm getting.
most people
They know
would
better.
know better than to, because then it would just get I don't want all those signs on the building. I mean, there's those people that, I mean, they don't believe that. But just these two spots right here, this is where the problem spots are.
Yeah.
They're just like, our store would be here,
Right.
and then it's just right here. Just those, like having one sign right here that says 30 minute will work great.
And then along there for 2 hours.
And then
Yeah.
along here for 2 hours, maybe a couple of signs here.
So we'll take a Sharpie and we'll just put,
Yep.
2 hours, 2 hours, 2
Perfect.
hours.
And
2
then-
hours.
Sounds like you're gonna do a
And
great
that-
job.
Yeah, I just delegated myself.
And then we're all set. Just those.
Okay,
We're all set. And we have kind of a policy amongst ourselves that we really like all the selectmen here to make a change like
no
that.
problem.
So in a couple of weeks when Joe's here,
We'll get it done.
we'll get it done.
Great. We don't have to come back. You guys will. Okay.
No, we'll take care of
We'll
Sounds
just
great.
notify you and then,
You want me to do this now and
If you have
just
a marker.
leave it?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have a Sharpie? There it is.
That's where I'm
Perfect.
right now.
Stan does.
So this is 30 minutes.
Yeah. The artwork, it's like you're autographing.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. And then 2 hours.
I would just maybe do a line and just put 2 hours.
I'll just put it on.
Oh. Answer the question. Just answer my own questions by reading ahead. The orange and black signs. Frosty you.
if you just give those to Jeannie, then
I'll give it right now.
Fun to just.
That'd be great.
Okay, I'll give them all the home.
It's much more fairly.
Perfect.
Thank
This-
you very
This is your
much.
marker, I think.
John.
Yep. Oh, great. Oh,
Thank you.
perfect.
It's this John Scanlon home.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yo,
Thank you,
Get ready for summer.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
It's coming fast.
It is.
Once that ice melts, those boats will start going in.
They've had. So that's true.
What's that?
Joe is,
Buying the signs.
George is.
Well, it's town parking lot,
Second.
isn't it?
It's us.
It's town.
So I can get the order. When the time comes, there's a 3 to 4 week lead time on those from the prison, so. we'll just sort of-
That's not too shabby in the world of supplies.
Put it on,
Concord, I don't think those guys are going anywhere.
No.
put it on Selectman Jessman's tab.
Yeah.
So,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all you had today?
Oh, yes, I'm not up
Next week.
Oh, that's right.
Can I ask a question about that? About this Moonstone thing? The piece of land that we own is just a small little square. There's no, it doesn't appear to any benefit to the town of Tilton. In the past, we've allowed the abutting people to purchase. It doesn't have any value to us. Well, it has a value money-wise to us. However, it didn't have, we can't build on it. We can't make an additional parking into it. There's nothing that we can do to upgrade it, if you would, or enhance it. I'm just wondering if in the future we should start thinking about talking to people, see if they want, because he's building the ice cream shop next to it, right?
Which, I'm not
It's the old post office, where the old post office,
We
and the
also-
motorcycle shop.
we
was.
also own in front of the stockade fencing down there too. Where the shrubs are,
We own
the
it.
condos.
What's that spot next?
That's where it's at, that's what I'm talking about, but
So
it's,
that whole strip,
it's like a little postage stamp that, it's not, we own the road, and we own that little postage stamp on that.
you know,
I would like to find out how much land is that? I have no idea.
because I know we
Because
went
it
through
was-
this 2 years ago. We were actually going to remove all that and
When it was the
Put parking in
motorcycle
it.
shop.
and have parking all there.
Maybe we had a space or two.
I mean, if we can, I don't, do we know how big it is? Did we do we
Oh,
remember?
yeah, we had it all planned out, staked out for doing it.
Did we have a survey?
I
Done?
don't recall which,
Can you remember?
I know we did with that.
Well, I'd
We had
like to see if we could look up that, if we had a survey, look it up to see how big it is. And
Because
maybe we could turn it into parking.
That was part of our,
I know the
because
front of it we
we
were,
paved the road at that time.
right.
And we said we're going to dig that part out and just have it as like a gravel parking
But
area.
there's a telephone pole and things like that, which
And
would
the
be
pole.
cost effective, right? They would have to be moved and,
Or just parked around more.
yeah.
Another
Well, I know.
project.
Could we look into it or try to look into it? Have Leanne maybe pull up the plans? And if there is a survey along with it, I think that's how we found out that Winnisquam, built Winnisquam parking was actually our parking,
Mhm.
right? Or do we just want to let it go? I don't really care, but I just thought it would be an idea.
Try to find out. It may have come up in when they were doing site plan for the, whatever they're building next to their shop. That may be in the file.
The ice cream,
Yeah, the plot plan. And how much land is there? That's ours. There may be something in the files. I seem to remember seeing something, but
oh, okay, so they would have to do a site plan for the ice cream.
they already did it. They already did a site plan review a few years ago.
I'll come in and talk to Leanne
Yes.
and see if I can see anything. See if it's
So
worth
that-
it.
I think we did. I think something was brought up with that little postage stamp that you're
Yep.
referring to.
Okay,
All right. At the last meeting, a resident brought two issues to our attention that I'd like to address tonight. The first issue was relative to ethical behavior by the board, and that as a board, we need to lead by example if we expect other boards and commissions to embrace ethical behavior. In addition, the resident stressed that the public trust is breached by this board, not adhering to a policy that we have adopted. So first, I'd like to ask the entire board to recommit to the policy adopted on October 18th, 2012. You'll find copies in your selectmen packets tonight. Given the importance of this topic, I suggest we formalize this and ask that we vote on this policy, as some members were not members at the time the policy was adopted. And I'd like to read a few excerpts from the policy. So feel free to follow along if you'd like. Under the paragraph entitled Scope, each public servant must earn and honor that trust by his or her conduct in all official actions. Ethical behavior will ensure fair consideration of any application or matter to be voted upon. as well as the appearance of fair consideration, so as to maintain public confidence in the integrity of town government. It shall ensure that the town office is not used for personal gain or advantage. Under board members, public servants must take all reasonable steps to instill confidence in the general public that their votes and/or decisions are unbiased and are based solely upon merits of the matter and the materials and/or evidence presented. Accordingly, public servants should recuse themselves from acting on any matter in which they cannot be as impartial as the lot of humanity would require. To this end, public servants should avoid acting on matters in which they are biased, have preconceived points of view, have a direct interest in the outcome, or under circumstances where they have prejudged the issue at hand. See RSA 673:14 and RSA 43:6. This is not to say that public servants acting in such capacity cannot have predisposed views about public safety, economic development, or other interests or concerns. Similarly, the public servant may have some background knowledge in general familiarity, tough one, with the facts, parties, and/or circumstances. It is sufficient if the member can lay aside his or her personal impressions or opinions and render an unbiased decision based on merits of the matter and the materials and/or evidence presented. Code of conduct. Public servants are expected to anticipate and avoid incidents of potential conflict or the appearance of conflict when a matter comes before them that involve a spouse, close family member, friend, or partner, and to refrain from participating in any discussions or taking any action with regard to such a matter. Jumping ahead, such public servants shall strive to meet the highest standards of ethics consistent with this policy, recognizing that maintaining the trust and respect of the people must be their foremost concern. And moving on to page 3, violations. Violations of this policy undermine the confidence that the general public has in the town government. The town of Tilton must operate effectively and efficiently so that we will encourage individuals and businesses to become or remain a part of the community. Accordingly, all town public servants must avoid circumstances that damage public confidence. Violation of this policy that occur under circumstances where the public servant knew or should have known that the conduct in question violated this code of conduct must have strong consequences. Accordingly, violations of this policy may subject the public servant to sanctions, which may include but are not limited to written or oral warnings, suspension, immediate termination of employment, removal from office, official censure, or reprimand or forfeiture of elected seat. So I think it's important that we as a board, we sign that document as a update to it dated today.
So are you, is it what you're asking me is to issue the document, bring it back before to sign at the next meeting, or are you voting on it?
Well, I think we vote on it, but I think we sign on it and but just as an update, I mean, I don't think anything's really changed, but the board has changed and it can be updated to reflect whatever the next date would be, which would be, I think, March 3rd.
So I'll bring a new signature page at the next meeting.
Can we have
Sign
an
it.
attorney review, just in case there's anything that could change, because that's been a long time, so 12, 10 years.
Sure.
And just take a
That's
look in
what the
case
board
there's something.
wants.
Just to
Does
make
the board
sure.
want our town council to?
Well, our chairman's making a decision for us to vote on it, and he hasn't asked the board a consensus of what to do yet.
Well, I'm asking, do you feel that we should sign it?
Okay, well, your conversation is with Jeannie right now, and you made a decision to.
have not made a
So let's
decision.
ask the board first and then talk about it.
All right. Well, who would like to make any comments or discussion? John?
Just where, it is a document that refers to a lot of legal things and things like that. I'd like to have it reviewed by an attorney, just take a look at it, have our attorney do it to make sure nothing else should be added or subtracted from it. No conflicts with current RSAs or anything. I'm okay.
I'm okay having a attorney review it. Pat? Scott?
I only have, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with what you're going to do and proceed and perhaps look it over and see if there are any necessary changes that we need to do and then take a vote on it in a couple of weeks. I do have a comment on the procedure and process in which we're doing. If you want to take this and take what has happened, then I hope and pray that you will take with as much gusto and diligence for selectmen that divulge non-public information. Perhaps maybe that might need to be a policy, except it's an RSA, and that's not adhered to either.
Sure.
So let's attack in public with as much diligence as you are with Pat Constantino making an error a couple of weeks ago in that I thought the conversation had ended when I voted on the total budget. And you all thought I was voting on a insert of town clerk tax collector's wage when I thought I was voting on the total budget. And let's get over it. Instead, each week you want to attack me, that's fine. Keep it up. Let's just move on and we'll rewrite the ethics policy. I have never, ever even signed anything to do with pecuniary wages or any sort of thing in 13 years. And won't. But I made a motion for a total line budget.
Scott?
So Pat, in going back and reviewing the tape, you did make direct mention of the town clerk tax collectors piece.
I did.
What, but,
And it was
so here, no, hold on. I'm
Yes, go
speaking.
ahead.
So first of all, stop with the attacking thing.
No, I
Because,
won't.
well, we had a citizen come to us
I know. and
with
I
two
talked to that
concerns,
citizen.
Okay.
Oh,
And I'm going to ask you one more time to stop talking over me.
Mhm.
I understand you're getting defensive. You've shown that pattern for the last 12 months.
Mhm.
Honestly, we've been given 2 ears and 1 mouth for one reason, to listen more than we speak.
Mhm.
So just in looking at this and when the citizen came to us, over the weekend, I went back, I looked at the ethics policy, which was given to me when I started in the position, all of those pieces. And I just think that the statement here, and I think the reason that Eric's bringing it up is because we all need to make sure that we're holding each other and the entire board and the entire town and anyone who's under this ethics policy accountable for it. So while the situation that you are referencing, where a select board member brought it up and a citizen showed concerns about it, okay, specifically goes to you, then I'm going to be honest, then you need to check and think, are you going along with the ethics policy that you chaired, that you signed, and are you actually doing your due diligence when those things come up? Are you stepping out and leaving the room when you should be leaving the room? And I'm going to go right to something that you said one time when you said, legally, I don't have to leave legally, I don't have to leave the room. But now the question becomes, is an ethics policy for town employees and elected officials, to me, that should usurp what the legalities are because of the trust that the public has in us and the trust that the citizen brought to us. And if there's one citizen who has seen this, we know that there are more who have, questioned it and questioned the other pieces that he brought up as well.
And the more that we pounce on it at a meeting and take the time to pounce on it at a meeting, this was done very late. It was very last minute. We were ready to adjourn. Joe got up and said, I make a motion. And then Tim came in and said one more thing. We were all tired. We all wanted to go home. And that's how the mistake happened. And it was a mistake. We had two options. I chose to make the motion. It was a mistake.
Was it a
And
mistake in the other situations?
Now who's talking over who?
Mhm.
Who's talking over who now, please?
It wasn't a mistake in the other situations.
Excuse me, who's talking over who now?
Where you pulled the
I
legal
haven't
issue out.
finished talking.
You pulled the legal issue out
Okay, so.
instead
now
of the
who's talk-
ethical issue.
Now who's arguing?
So
and who's
abide by
talking
the
over
ethics
who?
policy
Can I
that you
finish?
signed as chair.
Let
Can
her-
I
let's-
finish?
Let Pat finish, please.
This happens every single week. You want to pounce on Pat Constantino? Then go ahead and pounce on Pat. Bring it on. Bring it on.
May-
You know, I've already spoken to the resident that they had a concern. I've had a lengthy conversation with the resident. People that know who Pat Constantino is know that I have walked away from every situation that has anything to do with that.
That's patently false. It's a patently false statement.
I know where this is going and I know who planted it. And I know why you're planting it. And you can continue to do it in public. Let's just.
It is a public thing.
Mr.
We're
Chair, let's
we're
move
elected
on.
officials.
If I have to get a lawyer, I will.
I-
Move on.
All he's asking us to do is recommit to the ethics policy.
I know what
That's
he's
I heard.
asking to do, and I know what all of you are doing. Thank you.
Just asking us as a board to recommit to the ethics policy.
Mhm.
That is all.
Yeah.
We gave our word to the citizen that we would recommit to that.
Mhm.
And this is the first opportunity since that meeting that
And
we
I
had.
appreciate you bringing it up. And I'm all for it. Let's just move on.
All right.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Jeannie.
All right. The second issue that was brought to our attention was that the board did not have a public vote on the town clerk tax collector position, which was clearly an oversight. I asked that the board unseal that portion of the September 16th, 2021 minutes that addresses the vote on the town clerk tax collector position. And I have a reference to it.
I've handed out the minutes from that meeting, and it's on the second page. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not item number 2.
Second page. All right. So this was the.
So under number 3, it's item 2. Is that what?
It's under number 2. item
Okay.
number
Oh, I see. Okay. Yep, yep, yep.
So in fact, you did vote in non-public, you
Okay.
just didn't announce it.
Didn't announce it.
So this was to make that portion,
What's
it's
that?
highlighted.
Yeah, just unseal that portion. So somebody needs to make a motion,
I'll make a motion that we unseal
item number 2.
item number 2 from the non-public session of September 16th, 2021.
Ruggles second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Recuse myself.
One recusal. All right. So now,
I'll take those minutes back.
I'll get those back. So now I'd like to announce that the select board appointed Kim Souls on September 16, 2021 to serve as the town clerk tax collector until the March 2022 election, which is on March 8th. All right.
You want to read the whole motion? Like who made it and everything?
Yeah, do you want me to read it? Do you want me to just
Yeah.
read it? And then I can.
Excellent, thank you.
I will read that motion. So Selectman Jessman moved, seconded by Selectman Scanlon to appoint Kim Souls to be the town clerk tax collector until somebody else is elected in her place until March. There was discussion. All in favor, motion carried. Selectman Constantino recusal. Do I read the bold part here too?
I think you're good.
Okay, thank you. All right. All right, the board needs to vote on the Community Service Award. Jeannie has some ballots that she's gonna hand out. So please take a look at the ballot and mark off your choice and hand Jeannie the ballot. Did you get that?
Give them to you.
Oops, sorry. All right. They're in the ballot box. All right, the winter parking ban is still in effect until April 15th, so although it does feel like spring out there today, you still can't park on the roads until April 15th. On that, spring is making itself known, and the frost heave signs went up today. Thank you to the highway department for putting those up, Public Works. And it says beginning March 1st, our roads would be posted with a load restriction, maximum weight limit of 6 tons during spring thaw per RSA 231:191-191, and continuing until the roads once again become solid. Contractors, construction companies, parcel service, fuel services, and solid waste haulers are asked to observe the posting by staying off soft road shoulders and reduce load weights. Special permission may be given depending on weather conditions and time of day. For questions, please call our DPW Director, Kevin Duvall, at 603-286-4721. John Scanlon.
Well, I guess first, it's sad to announce that Dave Wadley had passed away. Dave did a lot for this town and sewer commission, and was he Public Works Director for a while too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Road
Yeah.
agent,
Road agent. And
selectman.
his family for having him, sharing him with us for all the time that he did in our town. And so that's it. It was a big thing. Sad. Another thing that came up, I heard somebody contacted me just concerned about drainage on School Street, that frozen culvert things and undersized, they thought, or the whole thing with things. So you said
How
something
far?
like up towards Wadley's farm and the power lines.
Mhm.
And they said the road was icing up, and I
Yeah.
guess Kevin's been trying to work on it and that, so. At least we have to address that somehow, but it is a state road.
Mhm.
So we have to get DOT involved, and perhaps Eversource might have something to do with that.
Didn't they replace the culvert when they just paved it last time? The culvert that goes underneath the, I know right where you're talking about, it's right by Country Meadows.
Yeah, there's a couple things. I think it has to be just that somebody said that culvert might be crushed or.
It was, I know, it was the storm that you're talking about. I know because the stuff, the stuff had been going up and down. And it's right near where the wetlands and the marsh are, and it's around that corner. And I know that I don't know if it was Eversource or the DOT went out because they had contacted the PD, and I think PD got in touch with Kevin. And I know during that storm, they got it cleaned up a little bit, but it does back up a little bit. And it was after the work they did over the summer.
And I'm sure the water being on the sides of the road is going to make the road real soft. And
yeah, and that storm was that funky one where we had rain and sleet and snow and sleet and rain. And it was
hot and warm.
Yeah.
Probably a big block of ice.
Oh, God. But 'tis the season. It's going to be coming up with a lot of this on our roads. That's all I have for now. Thanks.
Right. Thank you, John. Pat, Constantino?
So it's that time of the year again where we nominate what used to be the Vaughn Award for people that are 60 years and older, that older adults play a vital positive role in our community. Family members, friends, mentors, volunteers, civic leaders, members of the workforce, and more. The goal of this award is to recognize and honor individuals, couples over the age of 60 to give back, who give back to their communities through contributing as a volunteer. It's no longer called the Vaughn Award. So spotlighting the contributions of people demonstrates the difference of any one of us can make at any point in our lives, on the lives of others. It's been another challenging pandemic year. Please take the time to celebrate an older adult you may know and make a nomination. We would like to nominate a couple. And the executive committee is asking the board, perhaps we can ask Jeannie to write the letter. I have the information on who to write it to. It's New Hampshire Council on Aging. And I believe it's, actually, I don't know what the name of the award is called now. It's not called the Vaughn Award, but it is the award. Oh, nominate people for the Older Adult Volunteer Award 2022. So I would like to ask the board via the executive committee to write a letter. We're each going to write a letter for David Curria and Dottie Perkins. Dottie volunteers numerous days a week at the senior center for any and all participation, whether it be the Wednesday night, an exercise program, a balance program. She serves meals at the senior center. Dave has been our one and only for months and months and months when we first got the bus as a driver, and continues 4 to 5 days a week, still volunteers as a driver. He's been our one consistent driver throughout now since we've had the bus. And not only that, but if we're in a pinch at the senior center, he helps out there, helps out the Wednesday night music. He will also, has been known throughout the year to stop over elderly seniors, I should say not elderly, but seniors, and help around as a handy person for volunteer work and help out there as well. So I would really like to see if we could, all of us, join and ask, perhaps maybe ask Jeannie to write a nice note in the nomination, and perhaps maybe ask Abe as well to join in on the nomination. The more nominations, they pick one either a couple or an adult, one single person or an adult from each county. And that's how it's picked. And each one of our senior executive committee members have been nominated throughout the year. I think I was 2016. Jane's been nominated, but there was the Vaughn Award, and we were awarded by the governor. Tom Glenn, Iris, Emily, they've all been, we all have received the Vaughn Award at some point, representing Belknap County. So it's time to give it to someone else that's more deserving right now. And it's these two people. Couldn't be more deserving than them. So,
Absolutely.
consensus?
Yeah,
Okay.
Sounds like
absolutely.
a slam
All
dunk.
right, wonderful. The other thing, we had a Meals on Wheels fundraiser. We raised $1,100 every year. This time of the year, they ask us to raise monies to help with defray the cost for Meals on Wheels. We raised a spaghetti. We had a spaghetti dinner and raised $1,100. Just for a little bit of data to go along with that, Community Action Program serves 40 people in the town of Tilton with Meals on Wheels. The cost of Meals on Wheels is usually, it's around $10 per person. So you take $10 per person times 7 meals a week. You multiply that times 52 weeks. It's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. The state reimburses them $6 per meal. So you take $4 of that comes out of the CAP program, which works out to be around $58,000 to $60,000 that comes out of the Community Action Program for the town of Tilton. Other than that, that's it.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Extrapolate those numbers, they get awfully big very quickly.
Yeah. That's just one program that Community Action gives. It's not counting everything else.
Scott Ruggles.
Quick handout. I know, I came with handouts, shouldn't surprise you. I am a teacher, so.
Can I just ask one thing before you get, I'm sorry.
Oh, boy.
Can we get this light bulb replaced by the next meeting?
I
feel like I'm stroking out. Like having a
It's been bothering me since the beginning.
Yeah, sorry.
So just a quick synopsis in terms of the economic development group that has just convened a few times. And as I highlighted on here, that we've met several times now. You will see in your packet that the plan and the ideas that have been put together that we gave to the board on the 6th of January. What we're really looking for right now is to formalize this group as an official town committee and ask the board to create the Tilton Community and Economic Development Committee. And again, as I outlined on the document, once it's formalized, we'll bring forward the applications at the next meeting for the board to sign. And the proposed members right now are Jeannie Forrester, Officer Liz Murray, Leanne Moynihan, Caroline English, who is the owner of the Divine Roots shop down here on Main Street, Marcus O'Neill, who is a developer and property owner in Tilton. So recently purchased the space next to Casa Amigos, had owned the space that Casa Amigos was in, et cetera. He also has a couple of residential properties that he owns in town, Eric Pyra and myself. It's just the quick discussions or the discussions that we've had so far have been really, really energizing. And we now think that it's time to step out and make this official committee so that we can move forward with some of the pieces that we've put on the plan, the short-term pieces, and then start thinking about how we can foster the long-term pieces as well.
By formal, do you mean stipends and all, or do you just mean just as a town committee?
No, just recognized by the board as an official town committee, no stipends.
I'm for it.
I just realized, I don't know if we can,
That you're in the group
no, but I just really don't think we can vote on it tonight
without Joe.
without Joe.
Be next time.
Okay.
Well, because you don't have, one, you don't have a majority. So, because if, I would,
We would probably have to recuse
right,
ourselves.
I would recuse myself, and
And then that
you can't have a 2-0 vote.
Wouldn't leave a quorum, would it?
I think, yeah. But I mean, I've been to the meetings as Scott has, and it's exciting to see the,
That's kind of interesting.
So
If you both recuse yourself.
we would need Joe here.
If you abstain, then it would be the majority vote, because abstention would go into the favor of the two. If you recuse yourself, then it
Yeah.
would go into a,
well,
Right.
Correct, yeah.
right, I'd wait to Joe.
I wait for
Yeah.
Joe to be here.
Last piece that I had was that we had talked about and discussed the idea of jurisdiction over the island. And, maybe, or looking at that the board retain or have jurisdiction over the island until the restoration and revitalization of the bridge is completed. And I'm wondering if it's time that we think about doing that officially, and then once everything's done, then we can go back to sort of figuring out how we want to do the jurisdiction, because I think it had come up because we had talked about now we fully own it as a town, and that's where the haze, the fogginess had come in as to how should we
Clarity.
how should we have clarity in terms of jurisdiction right now, and especially with projects that are upcoming on it, but specifically the bridge project, which is the one that's probably the most imminent.
Route 3 too.
I know that.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that.
Okay, so. We'll talk about it.
We don't talk about the fact that we're going to have to drive up to Samberton and around most of the summer.
Oh, you
No,
just,
that's not until 2023.
It's got a little bit bigger than.
Okay, good. And probably have to wait for Joe.
yeah, I think we'll
Make
wait for Joe.
Okay, so just something to keep in the back of our heads.
Jeannie, I just forwarded that to you.
Otherwise, that's it.
All right, and Joe Justin's not in attendance tonight. So moving right along, town administrator's report.
So you all should have gotten a copy via email and a hard copy of the packet. First thing and you all, to work on tonight is reviewing the notes for the town meeting business session. And you should have gotten a hard copy in your packet. Do everyone have a hard copy?
Sure.
I separated it out by each article. It's easy to look at, and what I need from you tonight is who is going to second motions, or do you just want that to be organic, or do you want it to be planned? Once we've gone through this tonight, I will give this to Chuck Mitchell without the notes. There's no reason for him to need the notes, but so he knows who's doing what. And then he's coming to the meeting on March 3rd to go over the whole town meeting with you.
Last year when we made this, when we printed out who was going to do the seconds, it ended up being organic anyway, and we weren't the ones that made the seconds.
Does it, however
No.
you want to do it.
I think my personal feeling is just leave them organic, because people from the audience yells out second. So
If Jerry's there.
Yeah, I'm saying is Jerry going to be there? He's up.
So, okay, so article number 2, relative to the budget, we had Bill Lawrence making the motion, but I understand that he doesn't necessarily, I don't know, does he plan to come to the meeting? And if he doesn't, would it be the vice chair? And then Scott, because you're the ex officio, you would do the second.
Okay.
But I would say if it's, I can put a slash there and put Catherine Dawson, whichever one of them is going to be there. The other, Article 3, we didn't actually, I don't have anything in my notes of who is going to bring that forward. I figured it would be John with his background in this. And I just wanted to confirm if that's what you want. This is the LED lighting.
I think I have that. I think I have it down as John.
I didn't have it written down, so do you want to do it?
Yeah, I can do that.
That was John too.
I think it was.
All right. Did everyone get a chance to take a look at the notes?
Mhm.
Okay, does anyone have any questions on the notes?
I didn't, personally, I didn't.
I looked at them. I thought they were very good.
So the only notes that, thank you, the only notes that are left will be the one on the recycling, which we're working on getting those, and we will have those after the meeting on March 3rd with the board. When these notes are just talking points for you, obviously you don't have to say any of it, or you can pick and choose what you want to say is appropriate. It's just guidelines for you, not, you don't have to do it. So just gives you backup. And then Scott, I gave you additional backup relative to the fleet status. So.
Yes, you did.
Jeannie, I have one question on Article 4. Can we find out from Kevin on how much year to date by the town meeting? I mean, closer to town meeting? Because I know like the next couple of days it's in for repairs right now for the bus. So when you said 578 and spent in 2021, and I know it's been in for repairs.
Okay, I can ask Kevin.
That'd be great, thanks.
I had a question on the rebate from Eversource. Is that the energy saves?
Yes.
So they did refund it?
If you read the paper, they did vote to rescind the PUCs. We didn't get quite as much as we were hoping for, but better than what we were expecting, which was nothing.
Yes, it's better than nothing.
Right.
I say we just have reread in Joe to second every single one of them.
Guess for not being.
Yeah, that's for being absent tonight.
All right.
And then he can make motion to adjourn at town meeting too. If he wants to.
So no questions on that?
No.
On which one?
Any of them? I mean, if you have,
I can always ask.
You're right. We can always call and
I
ask.
don't have to vote.
There was, I think that, may I do that?
Sure.
So on what Scott's going to talk about on the cruisers, there was quite a bit of discussion and it's come back and reared its head again on Tahoe versus Ford. And I know you put down maintenance versus, maintenance.
Right, and
I think that there was warranty and things like that.
well, and John had mentioned, I think we all know how to get a water pump now, right, John?
What?
A water pump, how to get a water pump up.
Oh,
But Joe had a particular interest in that, and he wanted to hold the discussion for next week with Kevin to come in and talk about the cars and the choice between Tahoe and Ford.
Okay, so in your notes here for.
It would be added.
Okay, got it.
I do.
So for you.
And I remember the conversation that Kevin had that time when Chief Pizer had come in and talking about some of the pieces, some of the analytics that Ford has are proprietary, so it can only be done at the dealership.
Right.
Where you can do the analytics on the Chevrolets in-house, which is a savings, obviously. And it just makes it easier for us to do maintenance and get things back online quicker. I remember that conversation, so
Right.
it's there. But it'll be good to have that reiterated and Kevin be able to bring it up. So
Sometimes when you're speaking, it's good to have these notes. It's wonderful to have these notes because when you're up there and speaking, particularly with with the moderator, they have a time clock. They allow you only 2 minutes. And you have to say this all in a specific, and so when the question is asked and you have that, you've got to roll that answer off. And there's so much, particularly with the cruises, there's a lot of information to get back out there. You know, with me, it's just a boom, two sentences and it's done.
This was one,
That's why
when
I
I
was
saw
bringing
this,
it up.
yeah, when I saw this come through, I was like,
I was
yes.
glad you had it.
Yes, a cheat sheet. So it was good. So. And once again, thank you all for giving me Article 10. Thank you, as the rookie, thank you very
You'll do
much.
well.
So.
It was a rookie move.
Anything else on this?
No, thank you for.
No,
Thank you,
great.
yeah, this is wonderful.
This is a
really
lot of,
great.
it looks like a lot of time spent
Yep.
preparation, so thank you.
So the next item is I just want to follow up, the moderator came in and since he's on the ballot, no, he's not on the ballot, I'm sorry. But he had made a suggestion that because there's no competition, that it's just, you know, an individual for each office that you do a meet and greet, and he had suggested at the EOC, I was under the impression when he was talking to us that that was something he was going to put together. I had followed up with him and he said, no, that was something he just suggested the board if you wanted to do it at the EOC. I would say that if you do want to do it, I'd do it virtually over there, because with everything that's going on, I don't know that they're not doing training over the EOC right now, the police department, because of the numbers and, you know, I don't know that we necessarily want to encourage people to get together. But so I didn't know how you felt about that. If you want to do this, if you want to do it virtually or just not do it.
For what again? I couldn't hear the first part of this.
So we have candidates running for office, and
Oh,
typically,
okay, got it.
yeah, typically there would be a candidates night, but there's no competition. So
Right.
what the moderator had suggested is let's just do a meet and greet.
Yep.
People can come and meet the individuals. I don't know what kind of turnout you'll get. I don't know if you want to encourage that.
Is there competition for the fire commissioners?
No.
No, none.
Nothing.
There's no contested
Budget?
seats.
School budget, nothing.
Nothing.
I would say just let it go. My personal, I don't know how you feel.
Okay.
I honestly, I agree with Pat. It's just, no, I think if I mean, the people know who they are, they can get in touch with them. Joe, you can get in touch with Joe.
Well,
So,
The other thing you could do is just, we could have a profile of everyone be on the website.
yeah, I mean, part of me says, well, it gets attention because you can put it on social media and kind of create a little bit of a stir to get people, maybe we'll get more voters out. I mean, I understand it's not a contested seat, but it's still nice to see people.
Well, is Donna going to do candidates in the Echo? I mean, she usually interviews particularly the new candidates. So, you know, it would be Helen Hanks, Kim, who else is new? Anyone?
I don't know about budget, no budget, they're all,
I think they're all incumbents.
yeah. I mean, I don't know about,
Except for-
like, I don't know
except for Tim and
about
Helen, I think they're
school board, I
incumbents.
don't know who's running there. I know
Is there a
that,
Tilton seat up on school? I don't know if there is.
We haven't heard
I don't think there is.
I don't either.
I was coming from more of this perspective of encouraging.
More interest in the future?
No. With the pandemic and everything. That's what it's.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree, yeah. If, let's throw this out there. If the moderator feels a little bit more strongly about it, then I think I would say just do virtual. We did virtual last year, I remember that, but just do a virtual meet and greet if people want to hop on.
I don't think he has any intention to
Okay.
be involved.
Okay.
That's
So how about if we ask the candidates to just write something and we can put it on our Facebook page? if they want, if
Yeah,
they
like,
want.
Little resume type thing.
The only thing that you have to worry about something like that, and I'd have to do a little bit more research, is it's almost like an advertisement, and where you have to follow, like the media, when they cover a candidate, they're supposed to give equal time. Because like if they cover a news story on you, right, then they have to do another news story of equal seconds on Joe if he was running against you.
Well, yeah,
But so you would have to make sure that,
all of them would get the invitation.
right, but one, that's all. I just would worry about that.
What I'm saying is all of them get the invitation and introduce themselves on the, virtually our Facebook, I mean, our Facebook page is fairly new. It's only been there for a year. Not too many people really know about it. And, it's,
Yeah.
if we send the invitation out to all our candidates, it's, right across the board, equal opportunities. So we're not coming into that whole thing.
No one's running contested, so I guess.
Right, nobody's,
Yeah, but I think you can, with what you're talking about, Eric, so I think if you say that, it's a maximum 250 word write-up about yourself. You just limit
make
the,
just a
limit the
couple
word, limit the word
sentences,
count, Then it levels the playing field as you're talking about.
right? Something,
Yeah.
just for them to know that they're running and,
Tell us about you, 250 words or less.
I live in Tilton. I've lived in Tilton, I don't know how many years, and this is what I do.
I'll send out an email to the candidate
Yeah.
saying 250 words or less.
Do
Tell us about
500, do
yourself.
500.
500. And who's it going to? You, Eric? Where's
Who
this
does
going?
the Facebook page?
Me or Tam, I'll take it, and
You do it?
I do some of it. I have my own too, so I have my What's Up Tilton.
Okay.
You do that too?
Mhm.
What's up?
I haven't put a lot into it lately, but yeah.
I didn't know who that was. I was gonna sign up for it.
Yeah,
One
it's
more
me.
page. But now I know it's you, I'm gonna do it.
I only restrict it to Tilton stuff.
Okay,
So I don't do I haven't done a lot over the winter, but
okay. Now that I know it's you.
All right. All set on that one?
yes, ma'am.
So Catherine sent an email the other day, wanted to know if the board would like her and Helen to continue planting the trough and Soldier Monument Gardens.
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
And if yes, do you have any specific requests for flowers or colors?
Some kind of cash crop. We want to generate a little
No,
profit.
they have a very good eye.
Oh, they did, yeah, I would.
Did they have really tall sunflowers there this year?
There were a few here, yeah, it's very pretty.
Okay.
I think I give them the license to choose as they see fit.
Okay.
Other-
Let me
You
see.
didn't pass that down to get signed.
So I don't think there is anything else unless you have any questions for me on my report in my FYI. The town report has been finalized between Gail and Tim and I, mostly Gail and Tim worked really hard on the annual report. It looks good. It's gone to the printer tonight. We did have, as a follow-up to a meeting that Kevin had with the board about the dump sticker, we did follow up and have a conversation with the town clerk tax collector yesterday. And she did not feel like this is something that she wanted to take on this year. So we are going to put in the town report the spring and fall cleanup. So we're just gonna, I think, keep status quo.
So it's gonna be the amnesty.
But they're still doing resident checks and things like that down at the highway department.
Everything, however it's ever been done is the way it's gonna be, because there's just no, I think, capacity to do this program.
So Jeannie's, okay, asking a question.
Sure.
Second bullet on the back. So am I free and clear to contact this person for working on funding for the program?
Right, you talk about the bullet after the rebate?
Yes,
Yes, that's fine. Fine.
okay, got it.
Any other questions? No?
Do we have enough people, does the moderator have enough people at the time for town meeting? I know some selectmen can't make it,
Town meeting or election?
the election amendment. Well, town meeting, it starts on voting. And then it continues on Saturday.
In the email that he had sent to all of you, as it has been in the past, the Secretary of State's office did confirm the select boards are in fact supposed to be at all town elections. And so if you're not able to be there, he asked if you could find somebody to work in your place so that and the coverage is there.
I let Chuck know I'll be there all day.
You're gonna be there all day.
Yeah, take the day off.
I'll be there, as I emailed him, I should have actually CC'd everyone. I'll be there right, probably 12:30-ish. I have to teach in the morning.
So can you find someone to?
I'll see if I can, I'm drunk. You know what I'll do? Is I'll send my oldest son over. He eats my food. I'll send him over. Send him over to stand in and help out. He needs a little civic service.
So I'll be there after, like, right around 4:45, between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. My son's got down there for the other portion. I'll let Chuck know.
I'll probably take a break during the time. I think either Sandy or Jane will fill in, but
You all set, Jeannie?
I am.
Thank you very much. The time being 7:02, I make a motion to enter into non-public session per RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2A, the dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee or the disciplining of such employee or the investigation of any charges against him or her unless the employee affected, 1, has a right to a public meeting, and 2, requests that the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. Do I have to read all these with the non-public session?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a second?
Ruggles second.
Oh, 2 seconds. Roll call vote.
Constantino, yes.
Pyra, yes.
Ruggles, yes.
Scanlon, yes.
We are in non-public session at 7:03. But we have to,
Except I don't know what they were, so I don't know if I should recuse myself or not. So, do you have a list of them?
we just have to shut the recorder off.
Did you tell him?
Tim, we're in non-public session. Oh, he's not listed there. So we have to stop the recording.
Did that get pushed off?
No.
This conference will now be recorded.
You have to hit the button up here, Scott, because it's blue.
Blue's good?
Blue's
Blue's
good.
good.
All right,
Oh, I had it right.
all right. I'd like to make a motion that we seal the minutes of the non-public session until the matters are resolved.
Second,
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Motion passes. There is no news to report coming out of non-public session this evening. The time being 9:35. Is there any other business to come before this board this evening?
Scott does.
In the name of Selectman Jessamine, motion to adjourn.
Second,
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Motion passes. You all have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
Is that?
What was that?
That's Tim. Good night.
Yeah.
Good night, Tim.
It just scared me like someone was listening. So you have to go with the one?